Good afternoon, Tony Dottino here, and we finally have gotten here. It's July 27th tomorrow, and we'll be hosting our 25th qualifying event for the USA Memory Championship. So we're at the beginning of our 25th year and have lots of fun things and exciting things planned for this year, beginning with tomorrow's qualifying event, which since COVID has taken over, we host the games for the qualifying events through Memory League and Lumos Labs. Lumos is doing some rebooting and some software changes and things, so we're using all of the qualifying events through Memory League tomorrow. And our mental athletes will have signed up through the Memory League site, and we will then proceed beginning at 12 o'clock. They'll be signing on at 11:30, and then we'll be starting the games at 12 o'clock. And we're going to have words, numbers, names and faces, images, and oh God, what's the fifth one? Names, words, list, numbers. Oh, names and faces. So I think we've got our events scheduled for tomorrow. They'll start off at 12 o'clock. We should be finished somewhere around 2:30, at which point we'll know who our finalists will be that we will invite to Winter Park, Florida, to compete for this year's USA Memory Championship in the end of September. And Full Sail has just been terrific. We have a regular production studio there. The students get to do an integration of a whole series of skills. They then post that out on YouTube, which everybody can see on the Sunday Pass. So if I've got my dates right, let me just check and make sure I got my dates right. I don't want to give people the wrong dates. I believe it's September 28th. Let me just double check with this. September 28th. Should be a Saturday. And it's also a USC football game, UCF, September 28th. So September 29th, it'll go back out on YouTube, and people will be able to see what the competition was. So there's a lot of work that goes on by Full Sail University. Their students do a fabulous job. Corbett Compel, who is their director of the program, just does a super job of getting everybody up to speed and what needs to be done. So we have a very smooth running competition, and so we've done it there several years, and it's just been great. This year we have a UCF football game that's going to bounce into us, so hotel accommodations in that area are a little bit more crazy. Not sure. We usually try to do this when they're not at home, so really a little bit messed up here in terms of the week that we've got and the accommodations. But in any case, we are off and going, and tomorrow is the big day, and we have more than 50 mental athletes that are signed up. And I go for more than 50 because that number changes as people sign in, and who remembers to compete tomorrow, who's done all the proper sign-ups and things like that through the Memory League site. So we bring everybody on board at 11:30, and then we start the actual qualifying events at 12 o'clock. There's nothing to watch, so people have been sending me emails, how do I watch it? There really isn't nothing to watch, except if you've got a mental athlete who's in the competition, and you can watch them play the game on their laptop at home. And so there is no spectator involvement other than the committee of USA Memory people that talk to one another. And if anyone wants to join that conversation, that's fine, but there's really nothing much to talk about other than what the games are and how the mental athletes are coming through and who they might be, who might be our 25th USA Memory champions. So there's really not a lot going on in terms of tomorrow. So I don't ask you to sit on your seats and wait till September the 28th, which is when we'd be doing the Full Sail piece. That is certainly a lot more interesting. You get to actually watch the head-to-head competition through the different events. When we start with long-term memory, we start with the Lumosity game, then we have long-term memory and how much did they remember of the information that we've given them. Then we go into names and faces, or tea party as we call it. We have a word list, and then we close out with our decks of cards. So that's also testing the various memory skills that the mental athletes have practiced over the past year or so, or the last 6 months it could be, or not practice at all. Some of the mental athletes do not practice, and that's terrific for them. And that gets us going. It is hard for me to believe that this is our 25th year. When I think back of this, I think of our first session we held at the Park Central Hotel in New York City. And Tony Buzan and Vonda North came along, and right as we were getting ready to start the competition, a woman knocked on the door and came in and asked if she could compete. And it turns out she was our first 3-time champion. That was Tatiana Cooley, back in 1997 at the Park Central Hotel in New York City, and off and going. She won 3 years in a row. And then a gentleman from Fayetteville, North Carolina, Scott Hagwood, came along a few years later and knocked her out of the chair. And then Scott was the champion for 4 years in a row. And off we went through the first 7 years, and we were hosting it. Our good friends at Con Edison Utilities in Manhattan were just terrific in hosting it. And then unfortunately, as the years went along and terrorism became more of a threat, the core of all New York City's electrical power was in that building. And so it got a little bit more concerning as to hosting a group of people in the auditorium that were coming off the street and having to pass through security and making sure all was okay. So we eventually had to move out, and we finally found a home now in Full Sail University, which has just been terrific. They've done a fabulous job. It gives more people the opportunity to see the actual competition on YouTube. They can do it in pieces, so they don't have to sit there. We scale it down to about 2.5 hours, and I think everything is in good shape for this year's event. I think we're good. The good news out of this year is we'll take this year's champion along with prior year champions, and they're being invited to MIT for November 10th, which is where we'll be doing an event called the Champion of Champions. We're inviting the top mental athletes from the last 25 years to come up to MIT and demonstrate their skills. And they're going to be given some prize money by MIT. So there's some money in the pot that these mental athletes will be getting for the November 10th thing. So that's the first time that we'll be doing a separate event called the Champion of Champions for the memory champions of the past and top 3 that have competed. So we're going to have 12 people, if all goes well, compete for that on November 10th. And that will be open to the public up at Cambridge, MIT, in their major auditorium, and we'll see how that all goes. And off we go tomorrow. So that's all I wanted to talk about today. No lessons today. Just, hey, stay tuned to the USAMemoryChampionship.com website, and that'll keep you posted on who our qualifying events are, how people did in the Memory League games. And we are delighted to the Memory League folks that the actually get up at the early morning hours, since it's being hosted by Simon from Australia. And he gets up pretty early to be doing this for us tomorrow. So we certainly thank him. And last year, if I recall well, he was in a jacket. It was winter in Australia as we were going through our summer. So not only does he get up in the early morning, but he's got a good warm jacket on to keep himself comfortable. Hopefully get back to sleep. We'll see you on Monday. And you have a great weekend. And we'll wish you all well and safe. No, I'm trying to, there we go.